Namaskara Karnataka, I'm Ms. Kopika, your own biology master teacher. So today we are going to do part 2 of molecular basis of inheritance. As all of you know, it's a very long chapter, right? So it cannot be completed in 2 hours and it can only be completed when I'm running like an express train, but I do not want to do that because I want my students to score really good ranks in their KCET as well as both. So students, let's get into molecular basis of inheritance. Last class we did up to replication, how DNA does self-replication and what is the method that it chooses, semi-conservative method. Today we're going to start from transcription. Okay, now students, what does transcription totally means? Transcription means when DNA becomes RNA, right? DNA becomes RNA and then from RNA to protein is called as translation. So this we already know by now, right? This is transcription where DNA becomes RNA and translation where RNA become proteins, and in case RNA becomes DNA, okay, this way it will be called as reverse transcription. It will be called as reverse transcription. Okay. So I want all of you, first of all, this channel, okay, those who do not know where is the part 1 of this is the channel that you haven't subscribed yet. I know that you haven't subscribed. Quickly go and subscribe. We Karnataka, KCET and board, and this is for our Namma Karnataka students. So ellaru bega subscribe ಮಾಡಿ ವಿಡಿಯೋನ share ಮಾಡಿ as much as possible, because students, this is to score really good marks in your KCET, and KCET scoring well means you're landing in a good engineering college. So yak wait ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? So we are trying to help as much as students who are in Karnataka. See, we might not be teaching completely in Kannada because a lot of students do not understand and a lot of students know half and half, and I am also born and brought up here, but then my fluency of talking and teaching is two different things, because I am stronger in talking in English and it's easy for me to frame sentence. So try ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ as much as possible Kannada, Kannada English Kanglish ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಫ್ಲೋ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಯೂಶುವಲಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಎತ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ರೂಢಿ ಆಗಿದೆ ಇವಾಗ. ಸೊ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಆಸ್ ಮಚ್ ಆಸ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಚಾನಲ್ನ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇಗ. ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಗ್ರೂಪು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎವರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರೂಪಿಗೂ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ನಂಬರ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಟು ನೋ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಅಸ್, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಯು ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್. ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಶ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ನಿಮಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಕಾಪೀಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೈಡಿಂದ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಮೇಕ್ ಅಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಗ್ರೋ ವಿತ್ ಯು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಫುಲ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ಫ್ಲೂಯೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಟಾಕ್ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟೀಚ್ ಯು, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಟ್ರೈಯಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಓಪನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಐಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡ್ರೇಟ್, ರೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್. ಸೊ ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ವಿಡಿಯೋಸ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಹೋದರೆ ನಾನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಹೆರಿಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ 1. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ರೆಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನಿಂದ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ 2 ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸೊ ರೆಡಿಯಾಗಿ ಲೆಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್, ದ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಜೆನೆಟಿಕ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ RNA, ಫ್ರಮ್ DNA ಇಂಟು RNA ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. 3 ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ನೀವು ಟ್ರಯೋಸ್ ಇಲ್ವಾ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಶಿಪ್ಪಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅವ್ರ ಅವರ್ 3 ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, ಆ ಥರನೇ ಇಲ್ಲೂ 3 ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಇನ್ specific segments of the DNA molecule termed as transcriptional unit. A transcriptional unit is defined primarily by 3 regions in the DNA. So students, full DNA is around 2.2 meters. If full DNA has to not be converted to RNA, one small portion can only be get converted to RNA ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಯಾಕೆ ಫುಲ್ DNA ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? RNAದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಕಂಟೇನ್ 3 ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಏನು? ಅ ಪ್ರಮೋಟರ್ ರೀಜನ್, okay, for transcription, a structural gene region, ಅಂದರೆ the region which is going to become the mRNA. ಇದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಜಾಕ್ಪಾಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಬೇಗ. ಪ್ರಮೋಟರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಮೋಟರ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ರನ್ನಿಂಗ್ ರೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರು, ಆನ್ ಯೋರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಗೋ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದರೆ 1 2 3 ಗೋ ಆ ಥರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಷನ್, ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್, ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ರೇಸ್ ನೌ. ಸೊ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಅ ಪ್ರಮೋಟರ್ means for transcriptional initiation a structural gene which gets transcribed. A terminator means the one who is going to terminate the reaction. These three units are going to make your transcriptional unit. Please do understand that DNA, when we are talking about DNA to RNA, we are only taking one strand of DNA, because students, two strands of DNA, if they form mRNA, they will form two mRNA. These two mRNA will be complementary to each other, and when they have to code for protein, it will not be possible. Okay, when they code for protein, it will not be possible. So that's why we will only take one strand of DNA and let the transcription happen. Now, since two strands have opposite polarity and the DNA dependent RNA polymerase also catalyzes polymerization in one direction, that is 5' to 3', and the strand that has polarity 3' to 5' acts as a template. So students, just like our DNA polymerase also, here also this fellow will be like, I will form a strand which is from 5' to 3', so I will work on a strand which is from 3' to 5'. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಸೊ ಈ ಲೈನು ಎನ್ ಸಿ ಆರ್ ಟಿದಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ 5' to 3' ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ವರ್ಕ್ ಆರ್ 3' to 5'? ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆನ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. ಓಕೆ, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. My results or the process, the product I am going to give will be from 5 to 3. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ನಾನು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ 3 to 5. ದ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗಿವ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ 5 to 3. ಓಕೆ, 5 to 3. ಸೊ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, since two strands have opposite polarity and the DNA dependent RNA polymerase also catalyzes polymerization in one direction, 5' to 3', the strand has polarity 3' to 5', acts as a template, and it is also referred to as template strand. So this is template strand, 3' to 5', this is the template strand, nodi, and here it is 5' to 3'. Okay, so this is the template strand, and this is going to be the coding strand. This is going to be the coding strand. Okay, so if you look at the arrow mark, you will notice that it is from 5' to 3', and 5 here, this is from 3' to 5'. Okay, so this, don't get confused. Understand, this becomes the template strand, this becomes the template strand, this becomes the structural gene region which is going to form mRNA, and this becomes the coding strand. Okay, this becomes the coding strand. Now, the other strand which has the polarity 5' to 3' and the sequence same as RNA, expected at the place of uracil, thymine will be there. It is displaced, okay, during transcription. So students, ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, the strand which is going to work, that means RNA polymerase is going to work. Why? Because we have to form mRNA. RNA polymerase is going to work. He is going to work on a strand from 3' to 5'. Okay, so I will call this strand as the coding strand. So the strand who is there opposite to that? Ma'am, who is opposite means what? 5' to 3' will be opposite. This fellow will be called as the coding strand. This fellow will be called as the coding strand. Clear? So this is what they are trying to say here. Now, the promoter is a region on the DNA molecule to which an RNA polymerase binds and initiate the reaction. From the term promoter itself, what do you understand? He is going to start the reaction. He is going to initiate the reaction. So students, 3 processes are there and 3 units are there. Okay, I will write it here only. See, the process that happens in the promoter region is going to be called as initiation. And what is going to happen in the structural gene region will be called as elongation. And what is going to happen in the terminator region is going to be called as termination. It's going to be called as termination. So initiation and elongation and termination. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So 3 processes. So here they're telling the promoter is a region. Promoter is a region on the DNA molecule to which an RNA polymerase binds and initiates transcription. The promoter is said to be located in the 5' end, that is in the 5' end upstream of the structural gene. The reference is made with the respect of the polarity of the coding strand. So students, here, look here. According to coding strand polarity, they are telling it is in the upstream. So 5' is here, ನೋಡಿ ಇದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ತರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಲೈಕ್ ಟ್ರಿಗ್ನೋಮೆಟ್ರಿ ತರ. ಸೊ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ನೋಡಿ ಅವರು ಕೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮು ಡೌನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಕೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು 5' ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಬಿ ದ ಅಪ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್. ಕೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 3' ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇದು ಡೌನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್. ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಥಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ. Yes, now here promoter is a DNA sequence that provides a binding site for RNA polymerase, and it is the presence of a promoter in the transcription unit that also defines the template and the coding strand. So students, here the process is very simple. Promoter helped in initiation of the reaction. Now what is going to happen? RNA polymerase will go to the structural gene region and he will start transcription. He will transcribe and he will form the newly formed mRNA. Okay, and then this RNA polymerase does not know when to stop, so he will keep going, and then terminator will be like hello, stop. How traffic police tells us, no, stop, he will tell us to stop. Okay, the terminator is located towards the 3' end of the downstream of the coding strand, and it usually defines the end of the process of transcription. Clear? End of the process of transcription. One second, I will use the remote. Yeah, now a gene. Now what is a gene? So in your NCERT there's a flow of how this whole thing goes, where they tell about transcription, then they tell you about monocystronic and polycystronic. So many students don't understand that, so we are going to learn that. Okay, so look here, a gene is defined as a functional unit of inheritance. That means students, let's say in simple words, if I have to tell, this is your DNA. Okay, on the DNA there is a small portion or a small segment that can code for protein. Okay, a small segment that can code for protein. That small segment is called as a gene. Okay, that small segment is called as a gene. Clear? Now a gene is defined as a functional unit of inheritance. In other words, any segment of the DNA that is functional is denoted as a gene. Clear? Anything that is functional. In that sense, stretches of DNA that do not code for protein but are functional get transcribed are also genes. Now moving forward, for example, the DNA sequence that code for tRNA or rRNA molecules gets transcribed, hence also comes under gene. So they're trying to say that not every gene has to code for protein, but if they are going to code for something else, or if they're going to do some other job also, they will be considered as gene. Okay, clear? Now by defining a cistron, so students, don't get confused. Okay, don't get confused here. See, actually to make you understand something, they have tried to connect many things. Okay, so when I'm talking about transcription, you remember these things. Okay, promoter region is there. Okay, promoter, structural gene, and terminator. Alva. So here I already told you the processes that is going to happen in each of this thing is, here initiation will happen. Okay, here elongation will happen, and here termination will happen. Okay, this is what is happening. Now who is going to do the entire transcription? Transcription is going to be done by DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Okay, DNA dependent RNA polymerase. This fellow will come, okay, and he will bind. Promoter will tell you please continue. It will go to structural gene, form the mRNA, and it will get terminated. But now students, remember, in the promoter region there is a factor called the sigma factor. What factor? Sigma factor. This sigma factor plus RNA polymerase only can continue the initiation. These two should become a combo. Okay, then elongation will happen, no problem. In the terminator region, there is another factor called the Rho factor. Rho factor plus RNA polymerase will terminate the reaction. This is exactly what happens in transcription. Now, the newly formed mRNA, the newly formed mRNA that we got could be a split gene. Could be a split gene means what? That is, they have some sequence which are going to code, and there are some sequence which do not code. Okay, let's say on this white I am drawing some green, no? Okay, this is the green. So these regions, let's say the green is not visible. Huh? Red should be visible, students. Okay, this red region on the gene, imagine this is the region that will code. Okay, that will code for a protein. So that is called as your exons. Okay, or let's keep white only, students, because white is easier for us to remove and there are more portions. The region that is going to code is called as exons, and the red color region, okay, red indicates, you know, bad people, no, like that only. The red indicates introns which are not going to code. Introns which are non-coding sequence. Okay, they are NC, that is non-coding. Now I don't want NC. Why do I need NC? I need to make sure that I'm going to get protein. What will I do with NC? Right. So here they are telling about that. Before that, let me show you this one diagram to make you understand that. I think, one second, students, let me just check. Yes, this is your transcription. Okay, in your NCERT it is given. Look at this diagram and try to understand. See, students, here promoter region is there, RNA polymerase is there. RNA polymerase will combine with sigma factor and it will start the initiation. Okay, then it will go till the here the second portion where the structural gene is there, and they will do the elongation. New mRNA will be formed. Okay, termination, what do you see? Can you see RNA polymerase with rho factor will terminate the reaction? This is all about transcription. 3 units. What is transcription unit? Promoter, structure gene and terminator. What are the processes that happens? Initiation, elongation and termination. Okay, and this is exactly what happened. 2 factors are there, sigma factor and rho factor. Ashte ಏನು ಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ಹೊಡಿಬೇಡಿ, ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. So here then in between they have explained about cistrons. Okay, they have explained about cistrons. So students, in the NCERT also it is little, you know, here and there, so we have to pick and study. Okay, now see, cistron means again a small segment of the DNA which is able to code. Now there are 2 types of cistrons, monocistronic and poly. Mono means single. So here monocistronic means it is found in eukaryotes. Mono means single. Okay, and it is there in eukaryotes. Okay, what does that mean? That means we can only code for one protein at a time. Okay, one DNA, one protein, single translational start site. Okay, but in the case of prokaryotes, that's not the scenario. Polycistronics are found in prokaryotes. Here you see, students, protein 1, protein 2, protein 3. That means multiple translation sites are there. We have only one single site, only single translation site. So that's why we do not take both the strands of DNA, both the strands of mRNA and do anything. We take one strand, one thing, one protein, because we have only one translational site. So we will stick on to that. So monocistronic is seen in eukaryotes, polycistronic is pro. PP you remember, okay, PP you remember. And it will code for multiple protein. Now what they are trying to say here is that there are in our eukaryotic genes, there is something called a split gene. Like I told you, look here, there are some regions which are exons, some regions which are introns. Introns are unnecessary, people. Okay, these introns are non-coding. They're not going to help us in coding or help in formation of the protein. Then why do we need it? We don't need it, right? So to remove this non-coding sequence, we are going to do something called as splicing. What are we going to do? Something called as splicing. Splicing is a process where we remove the introns and join the exons, so that we'll get a proper mRNA which will be helping in us in translation and which can finally form as a protein. Easy, no? Clear or not? So what is exactly happening here, students? In eukaryotes, okay, in eukaryotes, first of all, we have only one translational site. So we have to be careful. The mRNA that is formed has introns plus exons. We do not want this. So what we are going to do? We are going to do a process called as splicing. Splicing, where we will removal of introns, as well as joining of the exons, so that we are going to get a proper gene, proper mRNA. Okay, so we can call this as split gene. Split gene. split gene. Done. So amino acid chain. So this is going to end up giving us protein. Simple. Now moving forward, students, here look here, this is your whole transcription unit. Again, start site. I'm not going to go into this because I already explained. Now I have to teach you more about this. Yes, here we go. So these are the three processes, like I told you: initiation, okay, initiation, elongation and termination. Okay, remember, a small region on the DNA which is going to form as the mRNA is called as the structural gene region. Okay, now moving forward, this is the process. As you understood, promoter is there, sigma factor is there, initiation will happen, RNA polymerase, DNA dependent RNA polymerase, because we are working on DNA. If you're not DNA dependent, then on whom will you be dependent, right? So it is DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Okay, now elongation is going to happen, students, where we are going to get our mRNA. Now termination is like ho gaya bas, now stop it. Okay, Saku. That's why, so here termination will happen. Now, there are two additional complexities when it comes to eukaryotic transcription. Firstly, different RNA polymerase carry out transcription of different RNA molecules. Understood? That means different people are going to conduct different jobs. That is, RNA polymerase 1 will transcribe for rRNA 28S, 18S and 5.8S. You do not have to remember these numbers, but you have to remember whom is it going to transcribe for. So remember like this: R, M, T, and what are the orders? 1, 2 and 3. Students, like MTR, you remember RMT. Okay, R for, that is polymerase, RNA polymerase 1, RNA polymerase 2, RNA polymerase 3. RNA polymerase 1 will transcribe for rRNA. RNA polymerase 2 will transcribe for mRNA. RNA polymerase 3 will transcribe for tRNA. Clear? Yes or no? RMT 1, 2, 3. RNA polymerase 1 will transcribe for rRNA, RNA polymerase 2 will transcribe for mRNA, RNA polymerase 3 will transcribe for tRNA. Just like MTR, remember RMT. Okay, remember RMT. So here you can see RNA polymerase 2 will transcribe for heterogeneous nuclear RNA or HNRNA, precursor of mRNA. Just remember mRNA, no problem. Okay, here RNA polymerase 3 transcribes for tRNA, sRNA, 5S RNA and snRNA. So here you can tell this. Clear? Fine. So this is your, that is, understand, different RNA polymerase will work on different RNAs. Okay, RNA, depending on which RNA it's going to transcribe, they are going to be different. Now, eukaryotic, students, that's what I told you. In prokaryotic, no tension is there. No split gene, no introns, nothing is there. They just form mRNA. They are happy. They will code for multiple proteins. That's why they are called as polycistronic. But in eukaryotes, since we are very complex, our body also is complex, our genetics also is complex. Here, look here. Secondly, the primary transcripts contain both the exons and introns and are non-functional. Introns are removed. Introns are removed via post-translational processing. So students, this where we removed the introns, no, this is called as RNA processing. Students, I have a complaint that none of you are commenting or liking the video. Students, neeve heli, what is the Guru Dakshina that you give me for standing and teaching here? You don't give me anything, no? The only thing that you can give me is some love, some likes and some comments telling that yes ma'am, we are with you, you are teaching like this, we enjoy it, we understand it. Normally ನೀವು ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಫೀಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೀಯಾಗಿ ಅವೈಲಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ವಾಚ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಆ್ಯಡ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ನೀವು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡೋ ಗುರುದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಕಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೇಹ ತೋರಿಸೋದು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಾಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಯು ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಶೋ ಇಟ್ ಟು ಅಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಆರ್ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಲೈಕ್ಸ್. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವೇ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಶೋ ಅಸ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಯು ಲವ್ ಅಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಎಂಜಾಯಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ನೀವು ಅದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಒಂದು ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಥರ ತಿರ್ಕೊಂಬೇಡಿ. ಅದೊಂಥರ ಲೈಕ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್, ಓ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ನಾ, Gupika ma'am is here. We will show her that what we are, how much love we have for her. So, ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡಿ students. See, I might not be very fluent in Kannada, because I'm here for past 20 years, but that fluency does not come because I do not talk this language at home. Okay, and I do not talk this language very oftenly, so that's why I might not be very fluent, but I will try as much as possible to talk to you people and learn as much as possible from you people. So please forgive kuti grammatical mistakes, because who's perfect? Like, you people are not perfect in biology, I'm not perfect in the language, so we will help each other, right? So yes, we are going to do mutualism. So students, yes, so if you have reached up to this part of the video, then you're definitely going to watch this and also comment. Those who haven't reached up to this video, they are never going to know that this conversation happened in the live. Yes, so students, here, look here, there is something called as I told you, removal of introns is called splicing. After that, when we get our new beautiful mRNA ready, no, we do something called as capping and tailing. Okay, tailing. Students, capping and tailing is like putting a head and a socks. Like for babies, we don't know. We put a cap, then we put a socks. Like that only, capping and tailing, where we will make sure that the mRNA is proper. And also remember that up to transcription will happen in the nucleus. After that, it will go to the cytoplasm. So when we are sending our kids, okay, now you people don't have kids, you are kids. So when you people are going somewhere, what does your mother tell when you were small? Get ready neatly and go. Okay, don't eat anything from there, don't touch anything from there, make sure that you behave your best. And all this they used to tell, no, like, don't make sound, don't make any, jagla matbedi, all that she would have told you. What does it mean? That is because she's sending you from home to some other place. So when the mRNA is going from the nucleus to the cytoplasm, aren't we supposed to make sure that the mRNA is protected from both the ends? So like that, we do something called as capping and tailing. Now an MCQ question that can come for you in KCET is that capping is done with what and tailing is done with what? Students, capping is done with methyl guanosine triphosphate. That is what you see here, GPPP. Triphosphate means 3 phosphates are there. I taught you this also. Nucleoside, triphosphate, diphosphate, monophosphate, biphosphate, monophosphate. So here PPP means triphosphate, okay? And tailing is done by poly A tail. Remember it as it is, that is polyadenylation. Just remember, tailing is done with poly A tail, capping is done with methyl guanosine triphosphate. So this is how now we are sending this mRNA to cytoplasm. Why? So that it can make proteins, okay? It can make proteins. Clear to all of you? Now, one very common question that keeps coming for your KCET is, talk about tRNA. Okay, I think KCET people love tRNA. See, there are all 3 RNAs are needed to synthesize a protein in a cell. Let's see which are there. Messenger RNA containing 2 to 5% of RNA content of the cell. During polypeptide synthesis, a ribosome molecule can scan the bases on the mRNA. mRNA acts as a template during translation. So students, look here. This is your mRNA. Can you see the mRNA in the diagram? This is the smaller subunit, this is the larger subunit. This ribosome, what it does is, let's say on this remote, okay, on this remote something is written. Even you people can't see, even I can't see, okay. Something is written, I want to read this. So for that, I'm going to use a reading glass and I'm going to read it, okay. Or I'm going to use my phone camera and ask them to magnify it, and so I can read it. Now, that is the tool that I'm using. No. Let's consider this as mRNA, this remote as mRNA. If this remote is the mRNA, then there are 2 units which are going to help us read what is written on mRNA. Then only I can form proteins. So for that, I'm going to take the help of a tRNA. Okay, I'm going to take a help of a tRNA. With the tRNA, I'm going to take help of these 2 ribosome units. This together is going to act like my reading glasses so that they can read what is on the mRNA and form accordingly proteins. Okay, clear or not? So this is your very, very important thing, students. Remember, your tRNA plus ribosome will together read the mRNA. Okay, and I've seen lot of questions on tRNA in your KCET. Clear to all of you? Yes or no? Okay. Moving forward, transfer, that is your transfer RNA or your tRNA, constitutes about 50% of the total RNA content in the cell. tRNA reads the genetic code or sequence of amino acid on the mRNA and brings the corresponding amino acids to growing polypeptide. So students, look here, this is the mRNA. Can you see how they're coming and joining? They're joining, adding, making an entire polypeptide chain. So they are able to read this. They're able to read this code which I cannot read. Okay, now this code, what is this code? This is your genetic code, right? This is your genetic code. Now, as I told you, your genetic code, before we come into, you also remember the terminology that eukaryotes, okay, in eukaryotes, they go through something called as RNA processing or post-translational modification. That means after transcription has happened, okay, post-transcriptional modification, after transcription has happened, they notice that, oh my god, genes are having introns. So what do? They do removal of introns by splicing. Then they do addition of the 5 cap and addition of the poly A tail. That means capping and tailing. This is called as post-translational modifications, which is gone through in a eukaryotic gene. Okay, eukaryotic gene will go through this. Clear? Now, students, all this is images. I will share it with you people. You can check the images out. You can see how they have done splicing, how they have done capping, and how they have done tailing. Okay, capping and tailing. Now, moving forward. So much is there about post-translational. Okay, genetic code. Okay, so now students, genetic code means what? Let's say this is your mRNA. Okay, this is your mRNA. This is mRNA. On the mRNA, there are some nucleotide bases are there, no? AUG, GGG, UUU, something and all is written. Now, looking at this, are you able to code any protein? Are you able to code for any protein? No, ma'am, I am not able to code. It just looks like letters to me. So, mRNA cannot read itself that, okay, I have AUG, I should code for methionine. That they cannot do. So, we are going to take a help of someone. But before that, how did we know that this was codes? Or how did we know that this many proteins are there, this many amino acids we have to code for? For that, we took the help of genetic code, which is actually first come into a notification, knowledge, okay, by George Gamow. George Gamow, who was a physicist, who argued that since there are only 4 bases, what are the 4 bases? Ma'am, A, U, G, C. Remember 4 bases at Gopika ma'am's class? Here we are talking about RNA, so T is going to be replaced by U. Okay, so only 4 bases are there and we have to code for 20 amino acids. So 4 bases are there, but we have to code for 20 amino acid. What do we do? Okay, so then he started trying to do different kind of maths. Like what did he do? First he did 4 to the power 1. So that was giving us only able to code only for 4 amino acids. Then he tried 4 to the power 2, which was able to code for 16 amino acids. Now he was like, wait, 16 amino acids is too less. I have 20 amino acids. I need at least 20 or 21, right? So then he was like, let's do one last option, that is 4 to the power 3, where we are going to get 64. Okay, in that later it was seen that 61 codes for amino acid and 3 are stop codons. 3 are stop codons. So this was right. Okay, so look here. With 4 bases, a number of triplet base combination can be formed. If neither of the 4 bases can be put in each position of the triplet base combination, then the number of combinations would be 4 to the power 3, that is 64. This was very bold proposition because a permutation combination of 4 to the power 3 would generate 64 codons, generating many more codons than we required. How much we needed? We needed only 20. We had only 20 amino acids, right? That means we just need 20 codons, but we ended up making 64, and later we got to know that actually 61 can code for amino acid and 3 of them are stop codons. Okay, clear? So Severo-Ojo enzyme was also helpful in polymerizing RNA with defined sequence in a template independent manner. So students, finally a checkerboard was made. This is actually there after the genetic code. There's a small 2-3 lines talking about this. Okay, now but I have not seen much questions on that, so you cannot You can relax. Students, this is the checkerboard. How did this whole thing happen? Look carefully to me. All of you know Punnett square from Principles of Inheritance. Look here. U, U, C, A, G. This is our codons. This is our basis. 4 bases. We have to make 64. Now look here. U, 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 C. Can you see? U, U, A, U, U, G. You do not have to study this, but you have to know how they are formed. Okay, so understand first position, second position, third position. With a combination of 3 positions, we are making these codons. Okay, we are making these codons. Okay, now students, these codons are present on the mRNA. Depending on whichever amino acid, how the nucleotides are based, someone should be there to read and tell, no, yes, yes, we have to join this amino acid. Yes, yes, we have to bring this amino acid in place. Okay, for that, they did this checkerboard. Okay, now there are some salient features of genetic code which are very, very important for all of you. Let's see which are that. The codon is triplet. One second. The codon is triplet. 61. Yes. The codon, okay, the codon is triplet. Triplet means what? AUG, UCA, UGA, always in triples. Okay, always in triples, triplets. Now, the codon is triplet. Out of that, 61 of them are going to code for an amino acid, okay, and 3 codons do not code for any amino acids. Hence, they function as stop codons. Hence, they function as stop codons. So that when the translation is happening, if the stop codons are present, the tRNA plus the ribosome will understand that, wait, we have to stop the reaction because we have encountered a stop codon. Understood? Now, I'll tell you that more when you learn translation, don't worry. Non-ambiguous, that means one codon codes for only one amino acid, hence it is unambiguous and specific. Okay, so here the one codon that codes for one amino acid, that means let's say if AUG is coding for methionine, it will always code for methionine. Okay, now degeneracy, students, some amino acids are coded by more than one codon. That is, let's say serine is there, it will be coded by UAG, it is coded by UAC, it is coded by, I'm just writing randomly, okay, UCC. So that means what? One amino acid can be coded by multiple codons. Okay, that's why we have 64 of them. No, in that 61 are coding. So that's this property is called as degeneracy. And let me give you all a disclaimer. If you're studying this chapter for the first time, it's going to be difficult for you to understand, no doubt in that. But see, I will try as much as possible to break it down. But if you are studying it for third or fourth time, this will be more than enough for you. Okay, yes. So students, degeneracy, that means some amino acids are coded by more than one codon. And if you all go to the channel again, okay, if you go to the channel, students, if you go to shorts and if you go down this way, you will be able to see one short called as genetic code triplet. This 1 minute short is enough for you to understand the entire genetic code, because if you click on this and you will see proper editing, okay, how it is done, the whole editing, you will see George Gamow, what he told, okay, what is happening. So you can see here what was, see, nitrogenous bases are AUG, and then how they were going to code for 4 amino acids. Okay, then he tried different combinations like 4 to the power 2, 4 to the power 3, and then finally he came. So this is a beautiful way of understanding, because editing is there and it is easier for a student to understand editing than, you know, teacher talking. So look here, this is how the different codons were. Understood? Then it was, you know, because it was a thing that he did, but later it was proved right. Okay, so here he understood that 61 will code for amino acids and 3 are going to be stop codons. Now this is the important part. One amino acid can be coded by 3 different or 4 different codons. Okay, this is the property of degeneracy. So everything is there on channel. All that you have to do is you have to wide open your eyes and see it and appreciate it. Okay, now contagious, the contiguous, that means the codons will be read in a continuous fashion. Like if I say AUG, UUU, UCA, I will not read it like AUG, comma, UUU, comma, UCA, comma. No, I will read it continuously. Okay, this is the third salient feature. No punctuation. Universal, the genetic code is same across the species with rare exceptions. That means, let's say UUU codes for phenylalanine. Okay, it's coding for phenylalanine in elephant also, in ant also, or in elephant also, in honeybee also. Do you understand? That means, or let's say bacteria. Bacteria is a better example. In bacteria also, U is going to code for phenylalanine. Even in elephant also, it is going to code for phenylalanine. That means no matter how big or the small the species is, it's going to be, codes are going to be universal. Okay, codes are going to be universal. Now AUG has dual function. It codes for methionine and it also acts as initiator codon. AUG has dual function. It also codes for methionine, but at the same time it is also an initiator codon. That means what? It helps in initiating the reactions. Okay, initiating the reaction. A classical example of point mutation is a change of single base pair in a gene. Let's say, students, now that you understood genetic code, it is important to know that all the codes should be correct. If the codes are not correct, then the tRNA will read it wrong way, join with the wrong amino acid, and an entire thing, protein synthesis, is going to be different. So here they're trying to say that there is something called a point mutation. That is, look here, CTA. In that, if you notice, T got replaced by A here by mistake. Now what will happen? What is going to code for A? U is going to code. What coded for T? A is going to code. This will lead to point mutation, because on the mRNA, if GAA is there, it will code correctly. But imagine GUA is there, then instead of glutamate, it's going to code for valine, and this will cause sickle cell anemia, where the RBC, which is normally, will become sickle shaped. Understood? One small change, one small nitrogen base change, it will lead to mutation. That means it can lead to point mutation. At one point, there was a change that led to sickle cell anemia. That is, instead of glutamate, valine got coded. How, students? Because here, when tRNA was reading it, tRNA understood it is GAA, okay, and it would have coded for glutamate. But instead, tRNA understood it is GUA and it coded for valine. So this is how much complicated this nitrogen bases are. One base changes, gone, mutation will happen. Okay, mutation will happen. Now look here, same thing here also. Deletion and addition also makes a lot of difference. Like, Ram has red cap. Are you all able to read this very well? Yes, ma'am, we are able to read. What do you think? We are literate. Yes, you are literate. Ram has red cap, no problem. But I decided to delete. I decided to delete or insert one B here. I decided to insert one B here. Now when I inserted the B, what happened, students? What happened when I inserted the B? Your reading frame changed, no? Ram has BREDCAP. Can you read that word anymore? You cannot read. Then I decided to add one more letter, I. When I added I also, your reading frame is like Ram has BREDCAP. Still you are not able to read the words. So when I insert any base also, it is going to lead to mutation, and that will be shift in the frame. That is the reading frame we tell. No, now I am able to read Ram has red cap. The moment one letter goes missing, I will not be able to read. Okay, so we insert. Now again I insert one more letter, G. Now all of you will be able to read that Ram has big red cap. That means what has to happen here? You neither delete 3 or add 3. Add 3. If you do 1 or 2, then it is going to change the entire thing. Okay, it is going to change. So effect of point mutation, that inserts or deletes a base in a structural gene, can be better understood by this example. Now students, imagine I deleted one word. So look here, Ram has EDCAP. Ram has DCAP. Ram has cap. So when you delete also, it has to be deleted in 3. If you're adding also, it has to be a triplet. Otherwise, the entire frame shift mutation will happen. What shift mutation? Frame shift mutation. Frame shift mutation. Clear? A small change, entire frame shift mutation will happen. Fine. Now let's learn about tRNA. Let's learn about tRNA. Okay, now look here. The tRNA, then called sRNA, soluble RNA, was known before the genetic code postulated. However, its role as an adapter molecule was assigned much later. Now, why are we telling that this is an adapter molecule? Because of the fact that I told you people before that on the mRNA, if there is something, right, on the mRNA, there are codes. Okay, there are codes. Letters are there. To read this, to read what is there, let's say AUG, GGG, CCU. Now to read this, mRNA cannot do it. mRNA cannot do it. So for that, we are going to take the help of a tRNA, which has one side. Okay, it has one side. What does it have one side? It has an anti-codon loop. Anti-codon loop. And on the other side, it has an amino acid acceptor site. Understood? One side it has an anti-codon loop and another side it has an amino acid acceptor group. So what it is going to do, let's say on the mRNA it is UAG, okay, or UAC. Now anti-codon loop is going to make codes against it. That means what? UAC, if I am reading it, let's say I am tRNA, I will code A with U with A with U and C with G. So I will understand that, okay, I have to code for methionine. Understood? Understood? Okay, so on one side it will add an amino acid and on another side it will do the reading with the help of ribosomes, which I showed you before, no, larger and smaller subunit of ribosomes. When the smaller subunit comes and joins only, the whole process is going to start. Now students, look here, tRNA has an anti-codon loop, very important. It has an anti-codon loop that has bases complementary to the code. Okay, bases complementary to the code, and also has an amino acid acceptor site. Okay, end to which the amino acids will come and bind. tRNAs are specific for each amino acid, not randomly. It does not happen randomly. Everything is in proper order. Okay, everything is in proper order. For initiation, there is another specific tRNA that is referred to as initiator tRNA. What is it, students? Initiator tRNA. For initiation, there is another specific tRNA that is referred to as initiator tRNA. There are no tRNAs for stop codon. There are no tRNAs for stop codon because the moment it comes there, they know that, okay, this fellow cannot code for any amino acid, they will automatically stop. But there are initiator tRNAs, okay, that means who is going to initiate the reaction. But for stop codon, that is not there, okay. For stop codon, that is not there. Now, the secondary structure of tRNA has been depicted that looks like a clover leaf model. This question has come, okay. Important. How does tRNA look like? It looks like a clover leaf model. Okay, look at the tRNA there. Look at here. It looks like one loop is here, one loop is here, one loop is here, and one is there. So it is called T loop, D loop, and anti-codon loop. You only have to remember anti-codon loop and amino acid acceptor site. Okay, some process happens, students, like where an enzyme will come, charging of tRNA will happen. So you know, in translation they have given charging of tRNA and amino acylation of tRNA. There are two words, if you can remember, well and good. Okay. Clover leaf model. Now, translation or protein synthesis involves 3 steps. Okay, so we have slowly understood how tRNA is going to work. Like there is an anti-codon loop, it will read the code on the mRNA, it will form codons against it, and then amino acids will come and bind. Now let's learn what is translation. Translation means what? Protein to, that is from RNA to protein, is called as translation. Clear? Yes or no? Okay, so let's do translation. Translation or protein synthesis involves 3 steps. Okay, first one is going to be initiation, second one is elongation, third one is termination. Initiation means upon encountering a start codon. So as I told you, initiation, who is going to be involved? Ma'am, initiator tRNA will be involved. Initiator tRNA will be involved. Okay, initiator tRNA will be involved, and this fellow will start working the moment, you know, he notices an AUG who is an initiation codon. Okay, second process is going to be elongation, where we are going to form our protein polypeptide chains are going to be formed. Last is going to be termination, when they encounter a stop codon. Okay, when they encounter a stop codon. Easy. Okay, I just wrote it in black color because it was not seen. Okay, let's see how this process happened. Translation refers to the process of polymerization of amino acids to form polypeptide. Okay, so students, this is an entire polypeptide chain. As you can see, these are all like MET, methionine. Okay, so these are all the amino acids. To form this chain, we have to have this entire process set up. Okay, entire process setup. That is, the order and sequence of amino acids are defined by the sequence of bases in the mRNA. Yes, ma'am, I am trying to read this word here. Now they are telling remove the batteries if you do not expect to use the controller for a long time. That means if I have to read it, first word is remove, next word is the, next word is batteries. Now it is written in order, so I'm able to read it in order. If it was jumbled up, I cannot read it. So here they're telling that the order and the sequence of how we are going to form the polypeptide chain depends on how the sequence is on the mRNA. Okay, sequence is on the mRNA. So if you look here, students, you can see that the DNA template strand transcription happened. We formed the mRNA. On the mRNA, can you see nitrogenous bases UGG, UUU, GGC, UCA, and now when translation happen, this will code for TRP, phenyl, glycine, serine. So like this coding is going to happen. That's all is the process. Okay, don't break your head and try to be like, oh my god, what is this, and all of that. Okay, the activation of amino acid happens by charging of tRNA. Charging of tRNA molecule with a specific amino acid prepares the cell to initiate the process of translation. So activation of tRNA happens by charging, like how we use our phone. No, that's why this image is given. Like how we use our phone, we have to charge the tRNA. And again, in depth there is a lot of process happening in charging of tRNA. When two charged tRNAs come, they will be automatically able to add the amino acids. So if two such charged tRNAs are brought close enough, the formation of peptide bond between them would be favored energetically. Understood? That's what I told you. Amino acid addition, peptide bonds can be formed. I am also charged, another charged person is there. We both will form a bond very fast because we both are energetic. We're like, yes, yes, oh, let's go for this match, let's do this. Okay, so we are talking and we become bond. Okay, the presence of catalyst would enhance the rate of peptide formation. This is what I told you. This is a little in-depth conversation. Okay, this is a depth topic, that's why I'm not going into this, but understand there are different types of enzymes that we use to make your amino acid acylation happen, where you have AMP, okay, and then they will come and all that, you know, that whole process is a little more complex process. You do not have to study right now, you will study it later. Okay, later you will study. Okay, now students, the cellular factory responsible for synthesizing protein is the ribosome. The ribosome consists of structural RNAs and about 80 different proteins. So as I told you, remember that your ribosomes are going to come and help tRNA, telling that you do not have to read alone, even I will come and help you, and they are going to move like one whole unit. Okay, we call them as a translational unit, where you have ribosomes and you have the tRNA. Let's say this is the tRNA, this pen is the tRNA, this wrist where the rings are there is the larger subunit and this is the smaller subunit. Like this they will go. I do not have anything to read. Okay, I'll try with this. Okay, this is the circus that I'm doing. Okay, students, like this is the combination. So they are going to read the strand. My down hand is immovable. So they are going to read what is written on this. Okay, they are going to read. And as they are reading, here amino acids are going to get added and added and added. Okay, understood? Yes. So moving forward. It is inactive state. It exists as two subunits, a larger subunit and a smaller subunit. When the small subunit, okay, when the small subunit encounters an mRNA, the process of translation of mRNA protein begins. This is an important question because it could be asked as an MCQ. When dash comes and joins, the process starts. That is your small subunit. Okay, the small subunits come and attach. Okay, this is subunit. When small subunit encounters an mRNA, the process of translation of mRNA of protein begins. Okay, so this is what happens, students. See, this is your mRNA. Okay, this is your mRNA. There are three sites. Okay, on the ribosome, E site, P site and T site. What happens is tRNA will be bringing these people. They will read. See, they will make anticodon loop. They will attach. Next person will be waiting to come. This fellow will exit. Okay, when this fellow exit, this will go to this fellow. Like this, they will keep forming chains and chains and chains. Okay, they'll keep forming chains. I would request all of you to watch a video on YouTube where they're showing how exactly it happens in the form of animation, so you'll understand better. Okay, you'll be able to understand better. So for initiation, the ribosome binds to the mRNA at the start codon and it is only recognized by the initiator tRNA. So only initiator will be able to understand that yes, I have to initiate the reaction. Why will the terminator know about what is happening, right? So initiator will be like, yes, I think I have to initiate the reaction, and he'll be able to understand that. Okay, so for initiation, the ribosome binds to the mRNA at the start codon that is recognized only by the initiator tRNA. During elongation, complexes composed of an amino acid linked to tRNA sequentially bind to the appropriate codon in the mRNA by forming complementary base pairing. So what they're trying to say, this is your mRNA, this is your smaller subunit, this is your larger subunit, this is your tRNA who is going to read and make the anticodons. So if you look here, he made the anticodon CAA for GUU. Okay, and then here he is adding valine. Now what will happen? This fellow is ready to exit. One fellow already exited. This fellow is ready to exit. When he is exiting, he is going to give this whole polypeptide chain to this fellow. This fellow will shift here, make the bond. By then, this guy will be coming to sit. So students, in hospitals, in cafes and all, what happen, like very big cafes, what happens? Seating will be very less. Okay, and people will be waiting like to get inside. So let's say one family came, they sat and they got up. Okay, immediately next family will come and sit. When this family is about to get up, the next family will be ready to sit. Same thing is going to happen. So let's say E site. Okay, this is A site. This is EPA site. No, yeah. E exit site, P where the polypeptide chains will be formed, and the A site where the acceptor is coming. So let's say I am waiting like this. Okay, I am waiting like this to come. In the PE, where the polypeptide should be formed, there one person is making the chain bonding. So when I am going to come, this fellow, one fellow would have already exited. As I am coming with my amino acid and the codon, this fellow will give me his, okay, let's say this fellow will give the menu card to me. So I will hold the menu card. Now I will be forming the polypeptide chain. Then when I am done, I will be giving my menu card to the next person who is waiting, and this fellow, I will be exiting. Okay, I'll be exiting. Okay, it looks like a dance class, like full Zumba we are doing. Okay, so what is happening? One fellow is waiting to come with an amino acid, that is here. See, with an amino acid and with a anticodon. Can you see? AAU means AAU. What will be the ulta of it? UUA. So he is waiting with that. I am also waiting. Okay, I am like, okay, I need to this hand I have my anticodon, this hand I have my amino acid. So this fellow is eating. The moment he gets up, he gives me the menu. That means this whole thing he will give it to me. So I will go and stand in the P side. I will do the bonding. I will bond this whole polypeptide chain, and then once I am done, I will be waiting to move. Okay, as I am moving, I will give this chain to the next person. This is all what is happening. So if you understood it, it is perfect. Okay, there is no complication at all. Okay, now small subunit scans the mRNA in 5' to 3' direction until it encounters a start codon. So only when a start codon is there. See, now here and all start codon wasn't there. I told you, no, entire portion of the DNA will or mRNA will not help. So here whenever they come to an start codon, immediately they will start the process. Okay, and as they encounter the stop codon, they will stop. Now students, here one more thing I'm going to tell you people. Here, look, you have to learn all the three stop codons. Okay, so stop codon is UGA, okay, UAG and UAA. Okay, so UAA, UAG and UGA, these are the three stop codons. Stop codons you have to know by heart. Okay, now this is done. This is done now. The ribosome moves from codon to codon along the mRNA. Amino acids are added one by one, translated into polypeptide sequence dictated by RNA and represented by mRNA. So, what is happening? tRNA, can you see here? tRNA is there. Amino acid binding is happening. Polypeptide chain formation also is continuing. Anticodons also are formed. Down you can see smaller subunit and larger subunit. Okay, smaller subunit and larger subunit. Okay, at the end a release factor, binds to the stop codon, terminating translation. Okay, my voice will not be heard now. Okay, I think my voice should be heard now. Yeah. Okay, so students, at the end the release factor binds to the stop codon, terminating translation. That means if they have encountered a UAG, they will be like, okay, I need to stop. Okay, or I have encountered a UAA, I will stop, or I have encountered a UGA, I will stop. So that time they will stop and this whole complex will get separated. Can you see? The tRNA also will go, the mRNA also will go, this also will go, this also will go. The free polypeptide chain will be roaming around. Okay, that the body will take it. Got it? Yes or no? This is your translation for you. Translation for you. Okay, students, will resume back in 5 minutes. Yes, let's continue. Now students, we are left with regulation and lack of operon. Okay, so what is regulation? So remember that every gene, like all of us only, like how we are, no, every time of the day we are not active. Sometimes we'll be active, but after we have lunch we'll be very lazy to do some work. Then later we will feel like, oh no, like I'm very lazy. At night, after one time, you'll become very hyperactive. Sometimes you're like, no, I don't want to do any work. So that means every time of the day, you do not have to be active and you do not have to be switched on. No, for us, we have to be switched on. But genes, it's not like that. Genes can decide when they want to be switched off and when they can be switched on. So look here, gene expression can be regulated by metabolic, physiological or environmental condition. In eukaryotes, genes can be regulated at 4 different levels. These 4 stages where gene expression can be controlled, okay, can be controlled are transcriptional level. That means the gene can decide to get switched off during the transcriptional level. Second, the gene can decide to get switched off during the RNA processing. That means when we are doing splicing, capping, tailing, they can decide to switch off, or they can decide to switch off when we are trying to transport it from the nucleus to the cytoplasm. It's like, I don't want to do this, I will stop. Or during the translational level. So these are the 4 levels at which the gene can decide to switch off or switch on. So these 4 places is very crucial because the gene can decide, okay, the gene can decide when it wants to be active, when it wants to show a positive regulation, and when it wants to show a negative regulation. Now you are not studying about eukaryotic gene regulation because it's a very complex topic, but you are going to study only about prokaryotes. Okay, since prokaryotes, it's more simpler, we are going to study about prokaryotes. That's why we are going to talk about your E. coli. Okay, so here now students, when we talk about regulation of gene, we have to understand there are few terminologies like operon. Operon is a cluster of genes that are transcribed together to give a single messenger RNA molecule, which therefore encodes multiple proteins. That means they're trying to say we are learning about lac operon, right? So operon means what? A cluster of genes, okay? A cluster of genes that is going to transcribe and help us in doing whatever. Like now here also we'll see about LAGZ protein and repressor. So here they are telling a cluster, operon is a cluster of gene that transcribe together to give a single messenger RNA, mRNA molecule, which therefore encodes multiple proteins. Okay, this is an operon. Now here we have to learn about lac operon that was given by Jacob and Monod. Okay, Jacob and Monod, who came up with lac operon, telling that there is something that is happening in this E. coli where it is going, the gene is deciding to switch on and switch off in the presence and absence of lactose. In the presence and absence of lactose. So look at this properly, students. This is your entire operon. Okay. So now, yes, this is your entire operon and this is your PIPO-ZYA, PIPO-ZYA. Now what is going to happen? This I gene is a regulatory gene. This fellow, depending on this fellow, these people will go into work. Okay, these are your structural genes. Okay, P is the promoter, O is the operator. Now what is going to happen? This I gene is going to inhibit, not induce, inhibit. Okay, I is a regulatory gene. This fellow will decide how the gene should switch on, switch off, what should happen in life. Okay, so look here students, here what is going to happen. Your lac operon concept totally works on one principle, that if lactose is present, okay, the gene will be switched on. If lactose is not present, the gene will be switched off. Okay, this is what is going to happen. Now in that, you know, you saw, no, now the structural genes, you saw 3 of them, Z, Y, A. In that, Z gene is going to release beta galactosidase. Okay, so the Z gene codes for beta galactosidase, which is primarily responsible for hydrolysing of disaccharides. So beta galactosidase will do the job of breaking down lactose into galactose and glucose. galactose and glucose. Understood? So LAGZ is going to code for, or it is going to code for beta galactosidase, which is going to break down lactose to galactose and glucose. Okay, that is the main job of it. Now moving forward, Y gene is going to code for permease. This permease, students, is going to increase the permeability. It is going to increase the permeability of the cell. Okay, so that it can absorb or it can take in more lactose. It is going to increase the permeability of the cell so it can take in more lactose. So this is your Y gene. Okay. Now the last is A gene, ZYA. A gene is releases codes for trans-acetylase whose function is not known. Okay, whose function is not known. It might increase the efficiency of beta galactosidase. Okay, so what is going to happen now? Your lac operon, when we talk about, just look at this. Okay, look at this. This is a condition when lactose is present. Let's say around E. coli, when E. coli was not when E. coli has glucose, does it need lactose? No, ma'am, it does not need lactose. So lactose will be less. So during this situation, what is going to happen? It is not, the gene is going to be switched off. Okay, so students, remember, draw it like this slowly. Yes, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is your thing. Okay, Pipo ZYA. This is what is the lac operon. Okay, now what is going to happen when lactose is not present? Normally also I gene will form repressor. Okay, repressor protein. First it will form repressor mRNA, then it will form repressor protein. Okay, this is the mRNA, this is the protein. Okay, one second, students, I'll just write it. Yeah, it will form repressor mRNA, and that will form repressor protein. Okay, it will form repressor protein. Now this repressor protein, what it is going to do, students? It is going to go and block the operator region. It is going to go and block the operator region. Now when it does so, let's say RNA polymerase is coming. Okay, for transcription to take place, RNA polymerase is dancing and coming like this, and as he comes, he will notice that the operator region is blocked and nothing can happen. The structural genes also, they will not release they are not going to code for beta galactosidase, permease or trans-acetylase, because this fellow will control them. So now blocked. Now let's say scenario 2, when lactose is present. When lactose is present, lactose is going to act as an inducer. So same thing is going to happen, students. I gene is going to release repressor mRNA. Repressor mRNA is going to form repressor protein, which is inactive. This repressor protein will want to go and bind with the operator, but lactose is present. That means inducer is present. Inducer will go and bind with the repressor and they will make an inactive complex and not let repressor move. Imagine when sumo comes and holds you and tells, I will not leave you. Can you move? Can you break open and move? You cannot, no? So same thing will happen here. What is going to happen? This repressor mRNA, this inducer will come and bind with the repressor and it will make it inactive. Now operator will be free. So automatically RNA polymerase will come happily and it will be going forward for transcription. So as transcription is going to happen, they will release lac mRNA and they will start coding for beta galactosidase. This beta galactosidase will break down lactose. It will break down lactose to galactose and glucose. Galactose and glucose. and this permease will increase the ability of the cell to absorb more lactose from outside. Students, this can happen when the glucose is less. Okay, when glucose is extremely less and lactose is more in the surrounding, E. coli will opt for this, where lactose will act as an inducer. So lac operon concept totally works on presence and absence of lactose. No, so the inducer is going to be lactose. I hope this is clear to all of you. Yes, so look here. Regulation of lac operon by repressor is referred to as negative regulation. Lac operon is under the control of positive regulation as well, but it is beyond the scope of discussion at this level. That means when transcription is not happening, when the repressor protein is going and binding with the operator, it is a negative regulation, right? Because the gene is switched off. When it is going to go, like when lactose is there and the inducer and repressor complex will happen, then transcription is going to happen and it is going to be a positive regulation. Okay, it's going to be a positive regulation. So that is what they're telling, that when this happens, definitely all these people are not going to work. It is going to lead to a negative regulation. Negative regulation. Now, but at the same case, okay, at the same scenario, if let's say, who is that? Lactose is present. Lactose is present. Then the scenario is going to change, no? Okay. If this is the scenario, I is still going to form the repressor protein. I'm not writing repressor mRNA, but in the body somehow lactose has entered, who is going to act as an inducer, and this inducer is going to bind with this fellow and make a complex so that this fellow cannot go and bind with the operator. Now, since this will happen, students, obviously RNA polymerase who is coming for transcription will be able to move forward and transcription will happen. Okay, and transcription will happen. Correct. Now, obviously, Z gene is going to form, all these three are going to form lac mRNA. And these lac mRNA is going to code for beta galactosidase, beta gal, permease, and transacetylase. Okay, and transacetylase. Transacetylase. Yes, this is what is going to happen, right? So this is where this is going to cause positive regulation. So like this, students, lot of other operons are there where there is a cluster of gene that is going to do the job, but luckily you have only lac operon to study. Okay, luckily you have only lac operon to study. So I hope this is clear. This is your lac operon, most important concept. Now I will read out some questions for all of you. Okay, 1 second. Okay, students, first question is about Griffith's experiment. Okay, they have asked about the R strain, like what is going to happen, and identify the correct order. So they have given 3 of them. R strain injected into the mice dies. S strain injected into the mice dies. R strain injected into the mice lives. So here you have to write which is P, Q and R denotes few steps of Griffith's experiment. Identify the correct one. Okay, so we have to tell that R strain injected into the mice lives. Okay, S strain heat killed. Okay, injected into the mice dies, which is wrong. So only one is correct, that is R. Next question is, in tRNA, the region that binds with the mRNAs. Okay, in tRNA, the region that binds with the mRNA is going to be which portion? The anticodon loop, right? The anticodon loop. So they have given that as an option. Okay, now the mRNA has untranslated region, which is UTRs, okay, present at both the places. Students, UTRs are actually untranslated regions. Now, if I go here, just give me 1 minute. Yes. Okay, here videos are coming. I need molecular basis of inheritance. Yes, this is your chapter, okay? This is the chapter. Students, if you go to your chapter like this, we have done all of this. It's a big chapter, okay? Big chapter. We cannot finish it faster until, like, you know, we are just rushing through the portions. Now, if you go further, Michelson and Stahl is there. Okay, all this we have done. Yes, this is the salient features, mutation and genetic code, insertion and deletion. Here. See here, UTRs. Okay. I think here I can go now. See students, an mRNA. Oh, yeah, is it clear? Very clear, no? Yes. And mRNA also have some additional sequence that are not translated and are referred to as untranslated regions or UTRs. Okay, untranslated regions or UTRs. The UTRs are present at both 5' end before the start codon and 3' end after the stop codon, because they are helping in efficiency of translation process. So now when we go back to the question gives you an option telling at both 3' and 5' end beyond terminator codon and before AUG respectively. See here, before start codon means they're talking about your AUG, right? So all this you have to understand. See, such questions have come in your KCET, okay? Now next question, in structural gene the template DNA strand has a nucleotide sequence. Find the correct complementary nucleotide sequence is what is given to us. Okay, and I will write the sequence down. So basically you have to find what is complementary to that. I have a feeling it is from the textbook only. One second, let me just zoom. Students, also after this you have your HGP and DNA fingerprinting. Okay, which is a topic that you can just read and understand, because there's very less explanation part to this, and I've seen less question for KCET on this basis. For NEET students a lot of questions come, but mainly for KCET students I've seen up to lac operon a lot of questions. That's why I've focused on that. Okay, I do not in case later we feel that okay some questions are being popping up, then don't worry, I will definitely do it. Okay, I'll definitely do it, because I want you people to learn the chapter in such a way that you are understanding everything, not just, you know, by hearting. Now students, they have given us one sequence, so let's just solve this one question. Okay, KCET question. Okay, KCET question. They have asked us to find 3' ATGC ATGCAT. Okay, this is the strand GC 5'. They want us to find the complementary strand from this. Okay, in the structural gene the template DNA strand has nucleotide sequence. Find the correct and the complementary nucleotides. Okay, and some options are given. First let's go. If this is 3', this has to be 5'. A will be coded with T. I think they want us to find it for the mRNA. No. Okay. So A will, students always check that. Okay, if they are asking you to find the complementary strand for this for the mRNA, you are supposed to use U. Okay, T will be coded by A, G will be coded by C. This, okay, I'm not telling anymore, I'm just writing. Okay, this is the sequence complementary. Okay, let's see if we have an option like that. A, TAC, GTA, CGT, ACG. Yes, we have an option called option number C. Very nice question, no? Yes. Now students, next question. A series of experiments were conducted by Frederick Griffith in 1928 on transforming principle with Salmonella typhi, E. coli, Streptococcus pneumonia, and Bacillus thuringiensis. 2022 question, easy question, Streptococcus pneumonia. Okay, but only if you're learning this chapter, you'll be able to answer this. The number of codons effective in coding 20 amino acids. How many of them are effective in coding right now? 61 of them are going to code, 3 of them are stop codon, so you will write 61. Which aspect forms the basis of, okay, DNA replicates semi-conservatively, was first shown in plants, E. coli, higher animals, human cells. Okay, DNA replicates semi-conservatively was first, Messelson and Stahl did the experiment on E. coli. Okay, E. coli. Now, during transcription, the DNA strand with 3' to 5' polarity of the structural gene acts as a template because. So, just now I explained you that no, why that is going to act as a template, because it's going to work on a strand from 3' to 5', but it is going to form a strand which is from 5' to 3'. Okay, so here they are telling different options are given. Enzyme DNA dependent RNA polymerase always catalyzes polymerization in both the direction. Nucleotides of DNA strand with 5' to 3' are transferred to mRNA. Enzyme DNA dependent RNA polymerase always catalyzes polymerization in 5' to 3' direction. Option number 4 is the answer. 2023 question. Next one, very easy question. Histone proteins are positively charged because they are rich in basic amino acid residues like lysine and arginine. Okay, tell me one thing that I have not told important has been asked. 2023 question. Eukaryotic genes are monocistronic, but they are split genes because why? They contain both introns and exons, right? Yes. The lac operon model was elucidated by Jacob and Monod. Okay, again students, one sequence is given, you have to write the complementary for that. Then they have given Griffith, Monod, Messelson and Stahl, Hershey and Chase. You have to do match the following. Next time I'll try to put this question on the screen. Okay, in which region of the tRNA molecule is amino acid binding site located? In which region of tRNA molecule is the amino acid binding site located? You have to tell, is it in the 5' end or the 3' end? Now, how will you understand that? You go back to the structure. Okay, here they showed us no clover leaf model. Yes, look here. Which end is it? 3' end. Okay, this is the 5' end, so it is going to be on the 3' end. Okay, 3' end. So, the answer will be 3' end. Amino acid attached here. So, that is the 3' end clear. The answer is here only. Then students, E. coli question has come on semi-conservative. This question also has come. Experiment involving use of radioactive thymidine to detect the distribution of newly synthesized DNA in chromosome was performed on which plant? Remember, we had studied about faba beans. Okay, faba beans, it was studied. That question has come. Okay. Then write the sequence. So, some sequence they have asked. Okay, some sequence they have asked, and they have asked you to write the opposite sequence of that. Okay, opposite sequence of that. Clear to all of you? Yes or no? I hope it is clear. Students, the DNA fingerprinting and HGP, we will do it separately because that will also take us 1 hour. But if I find questions, I think we will just stick on to solving the question and understanding the concept. Okay, solving the question and understanding the concept because it will be more easier. Clear to all of you? Yes? Awesome. So that's it for today's class, students. Thank you so much for joining. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and go and hit the like button. Okay, and subscribe, share with your friends. Okay, definitely share it with your friends because this is very important. Okay, very important. We are doing all the things possible as you can see under videos. Okay, recorded lectures are here. See, principles of inheritance has come. Okay, this has come here. Look at it. Okay, and if you go to the live students, we are also preparing the both students simultaneously with KCET. You can see most repeated questions from D and F block. Next, I will be doing molecular basis. So, you can also attend the classes where we are solving the most repeated questions taken from all the years. Okay, yes. So, thank you so much for joining. See you all in next class. Till then, tata, bye-bye.